Today we're going to be talking about how to find the surface area of a pyramid. Here is a pyramid that appears to have a rectangular base. And I can tell because I've got one short side here and a longer side here, a shorter side here, and my guess is this side is going to meet right up there. Let's take a look at a transparent view of this pyramid to see all of its sides so that we can find the area of each one. All right, there is that transparent line that shows this indeed is a rectangle. So rectangle obviously has got four sides. So that tells me that I have four triangles. There's one in the back right here. There's one on the side here. There's one in the front. And here's one on the other side. And they all meet at the top. And remember, that is called the vertex. We want to try to visualize this pyramid as a net, a flat, two-dimensional shape that we can measure the area of each of the triangles and that base or bottom, which is a rectangle. So let's draw the net of this pyramid and take a look at it and see if we can measure it. All right, so we have a rectangle right here, and I'm going to grab a different color and let's make the triangles like this. There we go. Now I'm going to write down my formulas, or the ways that I am going to find the area of each of these shapes. So let's do that right here. So I know that the area of a rectangle equals the length times the width. Okay? The area of a triangle is half of the base times the height. All right, so if those are my formulas, I need to figure out some dimensions here so that I can measure each of these shapes. Okay, well, let's say that my problem gives me the height of these triangles, because remember, they're all going to be the same height because they meet in the middle, so they've got to have the same distance. So let's say the distance here is 10 centimeters squared. Okay. And let's say that the base of that triangle is 8 centimeters. Oops, this isn't going to be squared because we're measuring its length. Not yet. It'll be squared once we find the area. Okay, so here is one triangle with a height of 10 centimeters and a base of 8. Let's take a look at the other side of the rectangle, the short side, and let's say that that is a measurement of 2 centimeters. Okay, we'll take a look at that. This side of this rectangle is the same as the base of this triangle. All right, well, why don't we start with the easiest shape, which is going to be that rectangular base. So I know that the length of my box here is 8. And I'm going to multiply that by the width, which is 2. And that will give me the area of that rectangle, which is going to be 16 centimeters squared. Remember, it's squared because we're trying to figure out how many centimeter squares can fit inside this area. And those squares are all 1 by 1 by 1 by 1. All right. So the area of this rectangle is 16 centimeters squared. Let's write that in a different color here so we can keep track of all of our measurements. So 16 centimeters squared. Okay, now I need to find the area of my triangles. So I have my formula, which is half times the base times the height. Well, another way to write that is base times height divided by 2. So let's figure out this top triangle. I know that the base is 8, so let's plug that in. I know that the height is 10, so let's go ahead and multiply that, 8 times 10. But then I know I've got to divide all of that by 2. Okay, so 8 times 10 equals 80, and I'm going to divide 80 by 2. Well, 2 goes into 8 4 times, and then I can bring the 0 down. It's really easy to divide by zeros. So 40 is my answer here, 40 centimeters squared. Okay, so that's the area of that triangle. Let's get that purple color so we can write it in. So we have 40 centimeters squared. Well, I know that this triangle down here is exactly the same as this one up here. So I know that it too has an area of 40 centimeters squared. So now I only have 2 shapes to go. I've got this small triangle here and this small triangle. Well, let's take a look. We know that the base of this smaller triangle right here is 2. So let's come over and write that down. And we've got the base is 2, and we're going to multiply that by the height. And remember, the height is the same for all of them because they all meet up at the top evenly. So that means this is a height of 10. And we're going to divide that. Remember, our formula says divided by 2.
Please go to the multi-purpose room. Talon Fricky, please go to the multi-purpose room.
So let's go ahead and multiply 2 times 10. That's 20. And I'm going to divide that by 2. Well, that's an easy problem. 20 divided by 2 is 10. And remember, we're talking area, so it's centimeters squared. So let's get our purple back and write down in our smaller triangles that our measurements here are 10 centimeters squared, which means this has to be exactly the same. So this one is 10 centimeters squared. All right, now I have the area for all 5 shapes, okay? All 4 triangles plus my base. So if I want to figure out what the area is, I'm just going to add them all up. So let's do that. I have 16 centimeters squared. Let's get a different color so it sticks out for you, okay? All right. 16 centimeters squared. That's this one, so I'm going to cross it off as I get them. Then I've got my 2 at 40, right? So 40 plus 40, well, that's 80. So let's just put 80 centimeters squared. Then I have this one is 10, and this one is 10 for a total of 20 centimeters squared. All right, let's add all those up. And we get 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have 116 centimeters squared. And that is the surface area of this particular pyramid. All right, what I'm going to do is show you a slide that I'm going to have you practice with, and then we'll go over the answers together. So let's go on to the next slide and take a look at that picture. All right, here's the triangle that you are going to practice on your own. I just drew this particular triangle, but it also has a rectangular base, and its length is right here, and it's 6 centimeters. Its width is 4 centimeters. That's your base. The only thing you need to know for your triangle's area is the height. And remember, the height is the same for every single triangle because they all meet up here at the top at the vertex. And the height of this particular one is 5. So I'm just going to write this down here so you can see that. The height equals 5 centimeters. The width equals 4 centimeters. And the length equals 6 centimeters. All right, so I want you to practice this on your sheet, and then we're going to go ahead and go over that.